Hello, Degrassi fans, and welcome to the Degrassi Kid Podcast, where each week we break down the history and impact of our favorite teen TV show. I'm Jocelyn, and this week we're joined by a special guest. We're joined by Alex Harrouch. Alex played one of Degrassi's most controversial characters, Leo Lauzon. You'll remember him as Alli's boyfriend turned husband from Paris. He started off as this really charming and romantic guy, but eventually things took a pretty dark and serious turn when he started to physically and emotionally abuse Alli Bandari. But what is it like to play such a complicated and controversial character? How do fans react when they recognize Alex from the show? And how did a special trivia night pull Alex back into the world of Degrassi? We're talking about all that and more today with Alex Harrouch, but first, let's watch a more romantic moment from Leo before he revealed his true colors on season 13 of Degrassi.
If you're not attracted to me...
Are you kidding? I'm crazy attracted to you. You're cute, you love science, and when I'm with you, I feel so special.
But you got your friends over, so we wouldn't make out.
It's not you, it's me.
Ah, I know that one from American movies. Are we breaking up?
No, I'm just scared that if I move too fast, I'll ruin everything.
Fast, slow, standing still. As long as I'm with you, nothing can ruin this.
Pinky swear? It means I promise.
Aimer, ce n'est pas se regarder l'un l'autre. C'est regarder ensemble dans la même direction. Do you know what that means?
No, but it sounds sexy.
It's a famous French quote. It means love is not looking at each other, but looking in the same direction.
Yeah, but it's the only way to kiss you.
Alex, welcome back to the Degrassi Kid Podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you. The very first thing that I do in every episode is I share with people how we got connected, and I'm going to share the story of how we became best friends. Is that okay?
Please do. I'm just going to sip my mimosa while you do that.
I have a Vizzy hard seltzer. Well, the way that I connected with Alex was very interesting. I was actually in Toronto in February, and I was hanging out with a Degrassi fan named Jenny, and she was like, Jocelyn, did you know that there's a Degrassi trivia night happening, and it's hosted by someone who was on the show? Now, I didn't end up getting the chance to come back and go, but that gave me the confidence to reach out and be like, well, if he's hosting a Degrassi trivia night, maybe he'll come on a Degrassi podcast. And the fun thing about it is you already were on the podcast. So what had happened is Alex and I had sat down together, we did a whole interview, and then my tech didn't work. So Alex was so kind and has come back and has even done you even like researched yourself a little bit. You went through your emails, you found some good stories. So I believe that this will be an even juicier and better podcast for us.
That is the hope. I figured after the first one, because it felt like a great interview and it felt really good.
It was amazing.
I was so happy about it. But then when that fell through, I was like, okay, well, we have an opportunity here to make this even better. So I was like, I'm going to go for that. I'm going to do all the deep dive research and, as you said, go through the emails. And I feel like I have a little bit more tea to spill.
I love that. You came prepared with receipts. So nice of you to redo this in the first place, but to be like, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it even better is so freaking kind. I love it.
I wanted to. I think this is such a fun thing. I mean, we don't get to like relive the Degrassi days, you know? So this is really fun.
And Degrassi fans will love, we're going to have a bonus video up on my Patreon. Alex, first I'm going to ask him all about the event. There was themed drinks and you got videos from Degrassi actors. I'm going to ask how you did your research. I'm also going to have you quiz me on some Degrassi questions. So that'll be up on Patreon. Woo, I'm excited. I hope I do well. It's so much pressure. But for now, we're going to jump right in because we have a whole bunch of Degrassi fans who had questions for you.
Okay.
And the first one's from Bridget. Bridget wants to know, how did you even get into acting? What made you passionate about it?
I think, honestly, I was just, like, always a really animated and lively kid. I just liked to perform. I, like, was obsessed with the Spice Girls when I was, like, 5 years old. I was always just, like, performing and bossing kids around and being like, let's do a dance and let's do this. And, like, I'll be the lead, but you guys can do this, you know? Like, I was just always acting, always performing. And I think that finally when I got to a point where school had gotten a little bit easier, because I wasn't a book smart kid. I wasn't like one of those. But as soon as that got kind of steadier, I was in school for film in Montreal at Dawson College, and I was just like, I'm 17 years old. I'm still wanting to act. I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. And so with a little bit of help here and there from my folks and maybe like one or two connections that they had, I started acting at 17 in Montreal. And thankfully, it didn't take too long to kind of start getting the ball rolling. And Degrassi was a total game changer. So yeah, that's how it all came about. I think it was just always in me to do it.
I love that. That's how I feel about Degrassi. Like, I feel like I was really born to be a Degrassi fan, which might sound crazy, but I feel it in my bones.
No, I feel like if anybody can say that, it's you. I think anybody else saying it would be crazy. I think you pretty much nail that. So
I love that. Before we even continue to talk about Degrassi, I need to know, when you are bossing kids around and you're all listening to Spice Girls, which Spice Girl are you?
Sporty Spice.
Hell yeah. My Scary Spice was my favorite.
Oh, work.
Loved her so much.
Love that for you. Love that.
I love it. Before Degrassi, we'll get back to the star of the show here, Degrassi. There was 12 seasons of The Next Generation before you got onto the show. Were you a fan of it? Samantha wants to know.
That's a really good question. I think Degrassi was one of those shows that, like, whether you were a fan or not, you knew that it was absolutely relevant. Like, it was important. It was a show that everybody had at least heard of or seen. Like, it was just one of those, like, game-changing teen shows. And so I had definitely seen it, and I had enjoyed it, for sure. There were some episodes that really stood out to me, but I never, like, I don't think I'd ever seen a season from top to bottom, but it was really kind of one of those weird things where, like, all these really major episodes I had seen somehow on the air, you know? So, like, JT dying was one thing that, like, I remember seeing really randomly after watching maybe a few episodes of the first season way back when and being like, what, they're killing this guy off? Like, this is crazy. So definitely I wouldn't say I was a fan, but I would say that I had, like, true appreciation for it. And if it came on when I was in my teen years, I would definitely sit through the episode for sure.
Oh, I love that. I know, I feel the same. I get asked a lot, what's the first episode you ever watched? And it's so hard to pinpoint because it's like, Degrassi's everywhere. Like, I'm sure I probably watched so many more episodes before I even realized that I was watching Degrassi at the time. So it's hard.
So you weren't, like, I guess maybe you were, like, too young to be, like, a day one Degrassi?
Yeah, it was season, like, 3 or 4. So, like, one of the best eras to get into. Like, Manny's having an abortion. Marco's coming out as gay. Allie's hurting herself. I was like, my cousin watches this. It's a cool show.
It's just so, it's like the only show that you could be like, the best, that kills himself, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it comes out.
You're so right.
Rape. It's like, oh my God, all this in one show. And this was for kids? Okay, cool. Yeah, just making sure. It's so weird, but it's true. Like, Degrassi was that show that did that.
When it comes to Degrassi, you land the role. At that point, do you go back and watch any Degrassi?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember if I watched season 12 because straight up, not a word of a lie, when I found out that there were auditions for Degrassi, I did not know that it was still in the air. So I fully did not know. I had no idea. Because, I mean, season 12, like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's so successful, but I had no idea. And so I went and I watched that because I wanted to make sure that it was the same show. I wanted to see also maybe, you know, with some of the characters that I was going to be potentially interacting with, I wanted to see, oh, what's this character like? You know? And so that's why I went to 12 and I watched a few of 12 and I was like, wow, this is really different than what I remember. Like, I didn't see any familiar faces. And it was just like, oh, Snake is the principal now? Like, what happened? I definitely watched a few of season 12 in anticipation. And I think I did it before I even got the role.
Ooh.
Just to kind of, to give myself the best chance at, like, matching the tone and seeing, you know, who was who and what was what. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sick. Well, that perfectly segues us to Jolene's question because she wanted to know about your audition process for Leo. First, was Leo the only character that you auditioned for?
Okay, so this is where I did my research for you, Jocelyn. I have the whole timeline. I'm going to try to make it quick because it might be boring, but literally...
No, it's not boring. Take your time, please. That's what I'm here for.
I have my whole audition timeline. So actually, through going in, like, the emails and whatnot, I actually found out that if it wasn't for, like, my best friend, Jesse, who is also an actor, I don't think I would have auditioned for the show because there were open casting calls for season 13 and they had written fake sides, like fake audition sides for a female character. I want to say Emily, not an existing character. And then another fictional character, male role named Josh. And so Jesse had sent this to me, and he and I were bordering on way too old. Like, I think I was 20, I think he was 21, and he was just like, bro, let's just do it. Let's just like put it together. We'll shoot it together and we'll send it. And so that audition is online somewhere.
Hi, my name is Alex Harrouch. I'm with Aviel Talent, and I'll be reading the Josh sides. I'm 20 years old. I live in Montreal, Quebec. I'm fluent in French. I went 11 years to a French school called Collège Marie de France here in Montreal. I would love to be part of Degrassi. It'd be an amazing experience.
So I auditioned for the general roles. This was in November of 2012. 2012, November 2012. I auditioned for a role named Josh. This was open calls. No one requested this audition from me. Then I get an audition in early February of 2013 for a character named Tyson, but also I think they wanted that character to be named Tyrell. I think they wanted them to be black. Mm-hmm. And so they were like Tyrell/Tyson.
I love that.
Degrassi. And so that character I auditioned for was a basketball player. Never was going to book that. Never was going to happen. But basketball player. And I think his storyline was like, has a brother with cystic fibrosis. That's kind of what they were going for. I don't remember much about that one at all. Mm-hmm. But that happened. And then I got an audition later in February for Miles Hollingsworth. And so that one, I also don't remember what the scene was about, but I know that it was with Maya. And that one was like bad boy, new character, like rich. And I was like, okay. And I think at that time I was like so much less self-conscious. I was just like, I need to get this. And I think that's when I started doing my research and watching season 12 and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then I got a call back from Miles, which was on Skype. And that was in early March. So already think about the first one being in November. Now we're in March. Yeah. So I auditioned. I was living in Montreal at the time. Obviously, Degrassi shoots in Toronto. The team was on Skype. That includes Simpson.
Stephen Berggren.
Stephen Berggren. I can't believe I just drew a blank. But it's the Mimosas. And so I did that. And I think I kind of knew pretty much in that audition that I wasn't going to get the role just from their energy. Like, I thought I did so well. It was such a great audition. I had worked really, really hard on it, but they were super complimentary, but they were just like, they started asking me questions that didn't align with the character. They were kind of like, they were asking me if I speak French. And I thought that was so interesting because that was one of the things I said in my very, very first open call audition. They wanted to know a little bit about you. And I was like, oh, I'm fluent in French and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I wonder if they knew that all along. And they were just like, we don't know where we can put him, but we like him.
We want him. Yeah.
Just curious. And so in that moment, I was like, oh my God, French. Yes. And I started like saying things that didn't make sense, but I was just like, absolutely, I speak French. That's all I can do. Can't play basketball, but I can speak French. And so then I don't think it was very long after that I found out that I did not get the role of Miles, but that they really liked me and they wanted me to be on the show. And then they sent me, they told me they were going to write sides that I was going to audition with. So they hadn't written them yet. It wasn't ready. And when they sent them to me, it was about a week later, and it was a character named Thomas. It was the exact scenes that ended up happening on the show. Like, it was the scene at the cafe with Alli where I'm introducing her to the Petit Noir coffee and we're flirting and I tell her my name at the end. And it was the scene on the bridge in Honey where I like get angry and like I grab her wrist. And so that's when I found out, like shortly after that, I'd booked that role. So that's the whole freaking timeline. So if you think about it, November, and by March, like later in March.
Wow. From this timeline, we're gathering that they knew that they wanted you. They were like, what do we do? And then therefore, Leo may have been created for you.
I genuinely don't know of a single other person that auditioned for that character. I do not. I really think to this day, not that that character was written for me, but it was written with me in mind. I auditioned, fit the brand, and it was just done.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I think happened, which is really cool. I have no proof, but that's what I think.
I mean, the timeline and the fact that you came prepared, Alex, thank you so much. Because last time we kind of like glossed over. It's like, yeah, I auditioned for Miles. Yeah, yeah. But like, how you're like, on this date at this time, it's 7:15 a.m. Stefan Brogan Skyped me.
No, that's so off. That's so
No,
cringy.
I love it. No, this is the fans will eat this up. This is incredible.
Good. Well, that's what we're here for.
I love this tea. Also, this feels a little cosmic because 13 years ago today, Honey aired on TV for the very first time.
Isn't that absolutely?
And now we're here. So I love
Isn't that absolutely insane? I think it's 12 years.
12 years. Oh, whoopsie. I don't do math.
It's 12 years.
do
So,
math.
and it's crazy because I moved to Toronto once I was like kind of established on Degrassi. I moved and I just moved back to Montreal. Like
you've been gone
I'm
this
now
whole time.
currently, yeah, isn't that crazy? I'm currently in Montreal 12 years later. But anyway, yeah.
Oh my God.
All that to say, I'm glad you appreciate the timeline.
I locked in. You'll see me when you watch this back. You're gonna watch. At first, I was like this, and I was like, I need you to hear all these details. This is incredible. Well,
I got more. Don't you worry.
I like it. The next thing I'm curious about is, so you're reading these sides. We have the bridge scene where we see that Leo's a little violent. How did you? Were you aware that you were going to be playing a violent character? Was there kind of talks about that? What did you think about it?
No, it was in the, well, yes, I was aware that the character was had a dark side because they in the they send you a very brief description of a character, especially knowing that this had not been fully fleshed out and I think all they wrote was that he was very charming at first glance and then has a deceiving dark side with like a lot of like fear of abandonment. And so I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be, this new love interest that lasts a whole bunch of seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I kind of knew what they were going for. But honestly, I think sometimes with me, and I think with a lot of actors, playing characters that are really different from yourself is oddly easier than playing closest to yourself, because sometimes when you do that, you're like, oh, am I doing, because when you're being yourself, you're not doing it, you're not acting. So when you're doing something that is so far out there, I feel like there's no concept of am I doing too much? It's just you commit. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense at all?
Yes.
I was just like, I don't really know if I ever thought like, oh, am I doing too much? Is this too angry? Is this not angry enough? I think I just understood that he was sketchy and that we needed to commit to that.
Okay, I love hearing the behind the scenes process on that. The other thing that fans might notice that's very different about you and Leo is he is a French speaker and you are speaking English. You have no accent. How did it come about that you were going to have a French accent on the show? Like, did you have a voice coach? What was the work behind that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't remember. I think it was just always written like Parisian accent, because in my audition, which also I posted, I was definitely not allowed to have that ever. The audition that I did on Skype as Leo or Thomas, I was not allowed to have that footage, but I had it because I filmed it with a good friend in Montreal at the time, and so he sent it to me, but I was absolutely not allowed to have that. But anyway, I figured I was like 12 years later, who cares, So I kind of did like a little rough edit of that cafe scene with the actual real scene. And I posted that to my Instagram. So, I mean, if people want to go have a look, that's somewhere on there.
Mademoiselle? Oh, is it madame? Petit big reaction to Petit Noir.
It's not just the Petit Noir, it's everything. I almost got mugged.
Well, that's not Paris' fault. You hand your camera to complete strangers, you'll get mugged anywhere.
From that very audition, it was established he was going to have a Parisian accent. And I had never done a Parisian accent before. And so I did, that was really scary to me. And I think it took a while to perfect it. And I thankfully I did get a coach. I went and I did a bit of research. Her name was Julia Lenardin. I believe she still works as a dialect coach. And I don't remember how many sessions we did, but yeah, she just coached me with it. She gave me some really good pointers, and the audition was good enough for them. So so I think I just kept working it. And then at some point it just became second nature.
It was good enough for us too, because I remember, I think it was an after Degrassi interview you did where you didn't have an accent, and I was like, oh wait, what? Like, I didn't realize you were putting it on for the show at all until I seen your interviews.
It's funny that you say that though, because a lot of people did say that. They're like, wait, so you're not French? But I was like, it's funny. I feel like Ontarians or like, Anglo-Canadians definitely bought it, but like my mom was like, this is a horrible French accent. She still watched and supported, but she was like, no.
That is so funny. I have a lot of American audience members who listen to this. So for context for them, Montreal is like our French part of Canada. So they do speak English there, of course, but that's the place where they're probably going to rag you the most for not doing your best at a French accent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am lucky because, a lot of people in Montreal speak with a more Quebecois, Quebec accent, which is totally different from your accent that you'd have in France or Paris. And I'm fortunate that it was a fluke that I studied in a school in Montreal that was for that. That was like, it was basically a school. It's called a lycée, and it's a school for, I know. It's a school for people that like go to France, or that it's for like people that are from France, but then come to Canada either because of their parents' work or whatever for a couple of years, and they need to get the same education before they then go back. Only I studied there from 5 to like 16. Oh, so all my teachers were from France. All my, a lot of my peers, a lot of my classmates were French. So that's kind of the French that I knew and could hear. You know what I mean? Okay, so I didn't have that many obstacles going into this, which like, this is something else I wanted to point out. The scene with my grandparents, okay, in Honey, those two, bless them, love them, fabulous, wonderful people. Neither of them were doing convincing French accents. One of them is so clearly French Canadian, and the other is very, very clearly an Anglophone.
That is
Watch
so
it back.
Funny.
It's absolutely hilarious.
I will have to watch it back because I just assumed they have so many like minor French characters. Alli asks for directions or in a cafe. I never even clocked that these people are probably not French at all. That's how little I am around French. My best French is one of my favorite things I like to say is when people ask me if I speak French, I'll always say, je suis un ananas. Because if you speak French, you know exactly what I'm saying, and you know that I don't speak French. I was taught by that pineapple.
Yeah, you just told them that you're a pineapple.
Yes. But if you don't speak French, you're like, wow, oh my God, you're really good.
You know what, Joss? I'm going to give you some better ones than je suis un ananas. I'm going to give you some better ones, and they're going to be like, oh my goodness, that's not the best.
You know what you need to teach me how to say? You need to teach me to say Leo's famous line that he says to Alli that is so romantic. Do you remember it?
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Give it to me. Try it.
Yeah, and in French, right?
In French.
L'amour, ce n'est pas se regarder l'un l'autre, c'est regarder ensemble dans la même direction.
And what does that mean in English?
It means love is not looking at each other, but looking in the same direction.
Oh my God. We are two gays having this moment. I feel in love with you right now. Like, I'm like the straightest I've ever felt. That is so beautiful. I'll use that one. I'll learn that. And then, I'll be getting ladies everywhere when next time I go to Montreal.
You definitely will. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. We have another question from Legna who wants to know, what was your favorite scene that you filmed on Degrassi?
The favorite scene is the scene where I say that French line, because it's not even because of the French. Like, it has not, I don't think that line is iconic. I don't think that line, but it's just that scene. It was just like shot so simply. It was just like Mindy and I walking along the street, and, we're kind of establishing like, how do we really feel about each other? Is this mutual, and is this serious? Is this getting more serious? And I think that Stefan was directing that. And he just shot it so simply, and there was those beautiful twinkle lights in the back, and we just like took our time and I just felt so much chemistry with Mindy in that moment, and I just felt so good about the end result. It was just so sweet and organic, and I just loved it. And I to this day, it's like it's one of those scenes as an actor that I didn't feel at all like I was acting. It just felt like I was in the moment, and that's why like it's hard to pick another one.
That is so sweet. Do you remember the first time you met Mindy?
I do, yes. I think they put us together in that same space where we do the table reads, and it was just like, it was much more intimate. I think it was just like two people and us, and it was like a little icebreaker, like, hey guys, like this is pretty much who you're working with for this entire X amount of episodes. And so I met her right away. She was super friendly, super welcoming, super lovely. And I think I was just right away like, yeah, I think this is going to be great. I think I lucked out. She kind of took me under her wing right away. It was like, I want you to be comfortable. I want you to enjoy this experience. We're going to have fun.
I
So
love that, especially because I think at that point Mindy started in like season 7 or 8 or something. So she's been there for a long, long time. Probably
yeah,
so excited to have like a fresh new boy to kiss and hang out with. Probably
yeah.
really exciting.
It
Oh,
was really cool. I also made sure to tell her like right away, like not when I first met her,
mhm.
but it was extremely important to me. The more I got to know her, the more I was like, okay, this girl is no joke. Like she takes this very seriously. She's a super professional, and I really like her, and I want to make the most of my time working with her.
Mhm.
So I made sure to put it all out there as soon as I could that I was gay and that I was not, trying to hit on her for real or trying to be a threat to her boyfriend at the time or anything like that. I wanted to make sure that she felt comfortable and safe with me, and she responded so well to that when we finally had that conversation.
Oh,
And the rest is history. Like we were pretty close during that time, which was really cool.
I love that so much. Mike and Kylia both were interested. I know you talked about your favorite scene to film with her, but do you have any other on-set memories of working with her, other scenes that you just like loved filming with Mindy?
Other scenes that I loved filming with her, oh
Mhm.
my goodness. I feel like there were just like scenes where we would laugh at like really silly lines. Like there were just like little things that we thought were so corny or whatever. So I don't really remember. I think honestly just working with Mindy was just the best the entire time. Like I don't think I could have had, I really truly am not just saying that because like I don't see her all the time at all, but I feel like we had such a special thing during that time.
Oh,
And I just think the whole time it was perfect. I don't really have other favorites. I
beautiful.
think, there's scenes that are more memorable to me or maybe scenes that I don't like as much, but in terms of just working with her, it was great from beginning to end.
Oh, well, this is where I'm going to tell you about how I met Mindy. Mindy,
Ooh.
when people ask me, so people ask me, this is going to have end in a positive, but people ask me who's like, what they always want to know the tea, like, what's the worst experience you've had or like the most traumatic experience
Mhm.
you've had. And I always say it's Melinda Shankar because Melinda and I were we were both invited onto a podcast, like a live podcast. This was back before podcasts were even a thing. It was like me and Linda Schuyler and some writers and Mindy and me. And we were all lined up and we were in this theater and we were sat in order of how we were going on the podcast, and like Linda does her thing, another person does her thing, and then I go up and I do my interview and I come down, and at that moment they're introducing Melinda and they're playing a reel of your and Melinda scenes together. It's like this big, like, she went through this domestic violence episode, like it was so
No
heavy.
way.
Yeah, so then, but this is why this became my worst moment. I'm walking down the steps, big thing, Leo's up there, he's smacking her, it's this big thing. I sit down, Melinda has a full cup of water in her cup holder. I knock it all over her while I'm sitting down. So while this big, like, she's like crying, her eyes like popping out of her head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. She's about to get up on stage, soaking wet, and give this like interview. And I would have expected someone to be like, it's fine. But she was like, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. She was like, I'll get a little like towel on my way. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nicest human being I've ever met. I just spilled entire glass of water on her seconds before she's getting up on stage while the theater is watching this video of her getting abused on TV. That's my worst memory ever meeting someone from
Oh
Degrassi. And she
my.
was the nicest person in the world about it. And she did not have to
Now
be.
I'm just really glad that this whole interview that we did in the first place failed because we did not go over
I
this.
did
This
not
is
reveal that.
so interesting to me.
I
This
know.
is so funny.
She was so
Wow,
nice.
power move. She's such a boss.
Oh, she's the best. And then she later had a film premiere in Toronto. It was like maybe a year later. And I commented on her post and said, wish I could make it. And she says, if you do, let me know because I got to wear a raincoat this time. And I thought that was so
Oh my God.
cute.
She's a gem.
She is a gem. Are we pausing to take a drink?
Yeah, well, I mean, not
Together?
pausing.
Well, we'll cheers.
We don't have time to pause.
Cheers to
Cheers.
Melinda Shankar being the best.
Cheers to Melinda Shankar. 100%.
Next, I wanted to ask you about your very first scene on Degrassi. So when we watched it, it's the scene, of course, Mindy or Alli gets her phone stolen. You tackle this guy. Was that the first scene you filmed?
No,
Ooh.
it's not the first scene I filmed. It's the worst scene I filmed.
Okay, let's go that route. Why was it the worst scene you filmed?
I mean, I'm such a, I don't know. I consider myself to be a very, I'm excruciatingly hard on myself, but I do feel like I am not the most, coordinated or graceful. And, just not the most physically capable human being. You know, you got your Luke Billings who could just throw themselves into a scene and land so perfectly. I'm not that. And I think that stunts have never scared me. I've never been afraid of getting hurt in stunts, but I've always been afraid of looking ridiculous. And we worked on it. In their defense, they did the thing with me. We worked on it. We rehearsed it with the guy, the whole clothesline situation. But they picked this guy who's like jacked. So strange. And so when we shot that scene, it was with Bruce McDonald, like a well-known Canadian director whose style is just so chill and lax. And like if he feels he's got it, we move on. And we shot that scene, 2 takes. I knew we did not have it. I knew it. I was like, this is not it. And he was like, great, Alex, let's move on. And I'm like, and it's just that horrible feeling of like, I don't know them and I'm not known enough that I could be like, no, we need to do this again.
Yeah.
You know, Degrassi was like a very quick moving set. They get it, they move on, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang, this is going to be brutal. And then when I watched it, it was brutal. I know that you said you didn't hate it. I can't look.
I loved it. Oh my God. The way that he's like Prince Charming and he like gets in there and saves her day. Oh, I was eating that shit.
Oh no, in theory, it's fabulous. It's all in the execution.
Oh no, I loved it. We all loved it. We all ate it up. We ate it up. And so you worked with Bruce McDonald on this scene. I know you worked with Stefan and other ones. What was Stefan's style kind of the same thing of, okay, we got it, let's move on? Or were there any differences in his directing style?
I think it was same but different in that, you know, I think Degrassi, as I mentioned, is all around. They move quick. They're shooting 4 episodes in a short amount of time. They have a lot of cast members to get through. A lot of them are under 18. They have like probably school breaks and only, you know, so like I think they just had, and that crew was around the entire time. Like all of the crew I worked with were, you know, a lot of them were there day 1, season 1, you know?
Yeah.
So they were masters at their craft. But Stefan's style, I think, was maybe a little bit more hands-on. Like, he was definitely more involved with all the kids individually, knew them probably a little bit better because he'd been around for so long and had seen them grow up. So I think he could probably get a little bit deeper with direction. So I think maybe he got a kick out of that and went a little bit more in-depth. Cool. But I think, in general, they were all great to work with. Okay. It was just cool because I was like, oh, wow, I never would have known that Snake would be directing me, you know?
That's cool. I like that. And so I know the first guy that you did that tackle scene with, was he was a stunt guy?
He was absolutely a stunt coordinator. He helped, he was the one that I rehearsed with. He was, a lot of stunt coordinators end up doing their own stunts too. Like, you know, it's just, he was just there. Yeah. But I was like, cool. You know, I just think that the comparison of him being so like bulky and muscular, you know, was just
like boom, it was a tiny little guy. I like that
because he like goes flying, you know, and I'm just like, nah.
That's the big leap. That's true. I did rewatch it this morning, and I still didn't see it. I was like, I don't know what he has an issue with the scene, but I'll have to watch it again from that point of view of like watching him.
But I do appreciate that you're saying that because it's just a reminder, you know, not to be too hard on yourself all the time. But there were things. Degrassi was such a high stakes situation for me because it was like the first time I was doing a big show like this. And it was my first project in Toronto. So I was kind of a little bit obsessing about every little detail, you know?
That makes sense. The reason I wanted to really know that about this stunt coordinator is because Leo is so violent that now he's doing these scenes with Melinda, who's this like tiny little girl. How does preparing for a physically violent scene with someone like Melinda, who's also like the star of this TV show, compare to doing stunt scenes with someone who's a professional stunt coordinator?
Well, there's 2 things here. For one thing, you know, regardless of the size of the person that you're working with, that you're hitting or whatever, obviously we take it super seriously. With a stunt coordinator, there's plenty of rehearsal time. You know, both actors, the person receiving the hit or the person doing the hit, have to be super on it and very like meticulous. It's very technical. And so we definitely took our time to make sure nobody got hurt. And I don't think anybody ever did get hurt, at least to my knowledge. You'll have to ask Mindy. But Mindy, the other thing that I was going to say was that Mindy's ironically, she's tiny. She's also like a black belt. Like she could kick my ass. I mean, anybody could kick my ass, but Mindy could kick my ass. So, you know, it was just this funny thing where as much as I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She's like, yeah, whatever, this is fine. She wasn't saying it like that, but you know what I mean? She was just such a badass. She was not afraid. She was a go-getter the whole time. So it made it a lot easier to go there.
I love that. And of course, we had some questions from James, who wants to talk about the getting kind of into the emotional mindset of Leo, because we know he ends up abusing Alli on the show. How do you prepare for those scenes that are more violent, where he's kind of getting amped up?
Yeah, I think honestly that was probably the most challenging thing about the character. You know, we love Degrassi, but it remains a teen soap opera.
Yes, it does.
It's written in a certain style and a certain fashion, and the scenes are X amount of pages, and you don't have a 9-minute scene where, you know, a character is getting amped up and it's building and, you know, there's all these triggers. You kind of have like 1 or 2 little triggers and then you're at an 11, you know?
Yeah.
Fortunately, they had set me up with, I think it was around the middle of the episodes that I was doing. I was working with a different director by the name of Eleanor Lindo. She was also a Degrassi OG director, to my knowledge. And it was important to her for the block that she was doing and the scenes that she was directing, including myself and Melinda, that I know more about the character's psychology. And so she was really helpful. And I think at that time they had set me up with a psychologist to talk about abusive boyfriends and their psychology and why they do what they do and where that comes from. And so we spoke a lot about that fear of abandonment, as we mentioned. We talked a lot about the loss of control, and that a lot of the character's anger needs to be rooted in every moment that he feels like he's losing control of a situation. You know, someone feels like he's slipping away from him, or he, you know, felt really good about a situation, but then it kind of shifts and he's not in the power position anymore. What does that feel like? What does that look like? You know, so we talked about that a lot, and I took that super seriously, and I think it just totally, it made it so much easier. And I'm sure that the writers had done a lot of research on that as well, right? So it all just kind of came together naturally, but it wasn't easy, because especially the hardest scene for the build-up is 100% the scene in the car after we get married.
That's what I wanted to ask about, yeah.
The hardest one, because we're going from this blissful, happy moment.
Just married.
To the darkest, most violent moment we've seen between these two characters. That was super, super difficult for me. Wow. And I remember trying to make sense of it when I was reading it and asking them, you know, a little bit naively, thinking they would actually care what I was suggesting. I was like, hey, you know, maybe we can change some lines. You know, maybe Leo can be like, you know, I've been in therapy, but this is really... Anyway, nothing landed. I was just trying to give it more breathing space to get to that place of anger. And they didn't really change anything. So I had to find ways to get that climb.
I cannot believe we just did that.
Me neither, Madame Lauzon.
Oh, right back at you, Mr. Bandari. Ew, nope, that sounds too much like my dad.
I cannot believe I'm kissing my wife. So, where to?
I have to get back to school. Sadly, classes don't end even when you're married.
Then we will hang later?
Sure, as long as you're good with having my birthday dinner with my parents.
Perfect. We can share our amazing news together.
No. My parents can't find out.
I thought you said you did not want them at the wedding because they would try and stop us.
Yeah, but they can still ground me for life. Kick me out.
Then you can come live with me.
But no.
Why not? We are husband and wife. I can save up and we can have our own place.
I can't move out. I'm not ready. And my parents, they cannot find out. That would just be a mistake.
Like this marriage?
No, I didn't say that.
But that's what you're thinking, isn't it? That you've just made one big mistake?
Leo, look, I love you. We're together. Just breathe, okay?
Are you ashamed of me? Of us? Is that why you won't tell your parents?
No. It all happened so fast. I didn't even have time to process. Can you just breathe?
Are you trying to counsel me?
No, I'm trying to help you.
I don't need your help!
Leo, I know this isn't you. Get off of me, Leo! Stop! Leo, stop! Stop!
And it was so hard.
Wow.
When I tell you it was so hard. Definitely the hardest thing I did. And it turned out great. I think it worked very well in the end, thankfully. But it was a nightmare. I have so much to say about that scene. It's crazy.
Well, this is the scene that I was really the most curious about because, yes, like the producers set the tone of the show. The writers are doing research. They're writing the lines. But you, as the actor, have to understand Leo to know how he can go from this is my wife to now she's laying on the sidewalk covered in scrapes and bruises and her eyes bulging out of her head. So I'm 100%. Curious, after working with that professional, how did you get through the beat by beat of him building up to that?
I think it's a situation of like going through it line by line and seeing, okay, what is it she's saying that makes him feel like he's losing control? You know, what is it? And then what was harder in that scene is because supposedly we never see Leo in therapy, but at this point it's been said that the character is doing therapy and that he is trying to work on himself, even though therapy is not a 1-2 and you're good, you're cured. You've got to commit to it and you have to show up and you have to do the work. I felt like it was important that we see that he is trying to not have an outburst. But I think everything that she's saying has to sound like she's rejecting him, no matter what. It's like, even if she's being kind, even if she's calling him, I don't remember if she calls me any pet names, but even if she's saying like, I love you, it needs to feel like I love you, but like, you're not important, or I love you, but this isn't real. And I think that's just how I went about it. I had to break it down line by line, especially leading up to the moments where he resorts to anger and violence, and be like, this is what she's saying, but this is what you're hearing. You know what I mean? And there needs to be a moment where you're thinking, okay, I don't want to get angry. I don't want to do it. But then it gets to that point where it's so amped up that you just, resort to the worst possible thing. Wow. It's really weird because now I'm like, when you hit someone, it's like this. Obviously, I have never done that. But it was important because, in the show, he hits her more than once. So it was important to understand it properly.
Yeah. I love how much care you put in because you had to find that balance. I think you did so well of making us understand why Alli loves him so much, even though he is doing these things to her. And I feel like hearing how passionate you were about getting it right and understanding his emotions makes so much sense to me as to why that made sense. Because I loved Leo. Like in the beginning, of course, I loved Leo.
No, of course, absolutely.
And you and Melinda really captured that nuance of how do you love someone who hurts you so much? And I think it's all this work you put into your performance.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you honestly, I don't know if we have time. But I can do we have time? Are we good for time?
I got the entire day, so we have time.
Okay, sweet. I just wanted to let you know something that I definitely did not tell you last time around. That was probably the hardest day ever, and not for the reasons you think. I knew that was a huge scene. I knew it was really important. I knew it was going to be very physically demanding and emotionally demanding. I had no idea we were going to do it as many times as we did. We must have done that scene, I am not kidding, over 12 times. And like at this point, I'm used to them doing it so quickly, like just moving on. And I was like, y'all, this is the hardest epic scene. And it was that, like we talked about, it was going from, 1 to 11 over and over and over. And Mindy was, thank God for Mindy, because she never complained, and she's taking the hits, and obviously they're not real hits. She's playing the emotion and the pain and the violence, and then she does fall out of the car, and she did it take after take after take, and she never complained, which was so wonderful. But I somehow was like, why is she fine and I'm a mess? I was like, this is so hard. And I remember we wrapped for lunch. I'm in a suit. I took the whole thing off. I was like, okay, we're done. This is great. We're moving on. We came back after lunch and we had to go again. And I remember being distraught. I remember being like, no, I'm not going again. I can't do this again. It was wild. I had no idea it was going to be so difficult. And it was, it was insane.
Well, that's interesting because the next thing I wanted to ask you about was like, how do you get yourself to this point where you film these violent scenes and then how do you let go of it? But especially so if you're doing it 12, 13, 14 times. How do you mentally disconnect after filming a scene like that?
I don't know. I think at that point when you start feeling so emotionally overwhelmed, but you're in a professional setting, you just kick into survival mode and you're like, let's just do it. And that's why I'm saying I'm so freaking lucky that it was Melinda, because we were close and I did trust her fully. So I could tell her, in between takes, like, this is so fucking hard. And she would be like, we got this. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was probably working with a scene partner you're not connecting with or you don't fully trust, and doing that would probably be excruciating. And I'm sure that there's countless horror stories like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just lucky. I think I just leaned on her a lot and was just like, we have to just get through it. But I think I don't remember when we wrapped, but I definitely don't even think I was happy. I think I was just like so exhausted.
Oh my God, I believe it. I'm shocked to learn that they would do a scene like that over and over and over.
Well, I think because there's several hits, because we need to get those correctly.
Yeah.
And there's the different camera angles, and we're within the confined space of the car. Because of all, and the makeup. Probably having to like break for every different time that it hit, creates a cut on Mindy's face or everything. I don't know, but I do think that was probably the most technically demanding scene that I took part in.
God.
And it was just bananas.
Wow. Well, thank you for going through it for us, because I think that's like the pivotal moment where we're starting to turn on Leo and be like, you need to get away from this man.
I would hope we've all like given up on Leo by that point. I think it's more like we're sending him off.
Yes.
At this point, he's done. Like
he has to go away.
We know this is the beginning of the end. Yeah.
Well, there's another emotionally demanding scene I wanted to ask you about. It's okay. So after the alleyway is huge. Leo hits Alli, and then he apologizes to her, and he goes to her school, and he's standing outside of her school, and he's begging her to take him back, and he starts crying. How did you get to the point where you could muster a tear for this scene?
That's so funny that you mentioned that scene, because I do not like that scene at all.
Alex!
Oh man, I hate it. I hate it so much. But I think that honestly, not gonna lie to you, not gonna sugarcoat, I think they gave me a cry stick. I think they probably just,
What's a cry stick?
A cry stick. So it is a prop, very useful for actors, especially if you're in a soap opera or a project where you're crying a lot. I think that I think it's like something like menthol or whatever that they put around your eyes, and it can help you tear up. But obviously you can't just like have that and give nothing in your performance, because tears is not going to sell it. You have to do, it comes down to like what you're saying and how you're emoting. But I think for that scene, because I was not a fan of the "I'm broken, fix me" line.
I love you.
And you wouldn't have hurt me. You have rage issues, Leo, serious rage issues, and you need help.
Oh no, you're right, but I can't do it without you. I'm broken, Alli. Fix me.
I was like, hey, I need this. Because I think sometimes as an actor, if I do have one specific thing that I'm dreading in a scene, it's really hard for me to be fully engaged in the moment.
Oh, 100%.
There's a bit of a feeling of dread throughout that whole scene, So I think because of that, I was having a hard time crying, and I think I just asked them. I asked the makeup artist if they could give me the cry stick, and thankfully they did. And so those tears are not, they're not real. But
that's so cool. I had no idea cry stick even existed, so I've still learned.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
I had no idea about that. I thought you truly had to just stand there until you, like, I imagined every time that an actor cries on TV, they like think about their dog dying, and then they have to like emotionally come back from that or something. Like,
for sure, yeah. And I'm sure that plenty of people have a fantastic, cry on command ability, and I think that, I've maybe surprised myself once or twice with that, but I'm not really that person.
I couldn't.
So if I need to use the cry stick, I will use it.
That's fair. I would too. I could not. I love Degrassi so much. And people are always like, "Oh my God, it'd be so great to have you on it. I'd love to have a line or two." I could never act on that show. I would be, especially if someone was screaming at me, I would take it personally. Like, I don't think I could emotionally disconnect it. I would be like, "This is fake." I'd be like, "Why is Melinda Shankar screaming at me right now?" So
yeah.
Amber also had a question for you, because you're talking about how hard it is to connect with the lines that Leo is saying because you do not agree with this man. So how do you get yourself to a point where you can kind of understand your character enough to play him? How do you connect with him like that?
honestly, I don't think that, I think I gave all of the ways that I went about preparing the character already in previous answers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the rest of it is just trusting. And thankfully with Degrassi, because I got to do, it was 12 episodes in the end, because I got to do them, after a while, you start getting much more comfortable with this character. The accent starts falling into place. You're not thinking about the accent anymore. You feel so safe with your scene partner. Everything just kind of naturally flows, and that's the gift of the time and the comfort and the ease, you know? So I think that I just understood the assignment. I wasn't, you know, I remember, I'm just going to say this straight up. I told you I was going to spill some tea.
Spill it.
I told you.
Spill some
I knew
molasses.
straight up, day one, what my role was. And my role was, you know, whether they'll admit to this or not, the writers and the creators, my role was to be, you know, the villain that sends Alli back to Dallas. That was always the case, and I'm aware of that, and I was not an idiot. I knew that's what was up. And I remember being in a rehearsal with Stefan Brogren and telling him this, and I was in no way offended. I knew that was my part, and he was like, no, you could end up with her. And I was like, bruh. Like,
Yeah.
come on. At that point, I don't think I had hit her. But I do think,
Okay, that makes
but I
sense.
knew, and you know, it was just never going to be the case. So I think that I was like, well, I'm going to be here for a limited amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to end up a regular on this show. I need to really make the most of this and sell a performance. And I will also give credit to the creators, Linda and Steven. You know, they were very supportive and very welcoming. And a few times throughout the process in table reads or whatever, when we were talking about like important Alli and Leo moments, Linda would say like, Alex, you're doing a great job with this character. And I think that I'm the kind of person that when you give me that kind of validation at the right time, I will take it and run with it, and I will make the most of it. And I definitely did not take that time lightly. So I think it was just like, whatever is happening with this character, I'm going to give it everything I have.
We love that. I love that so much. I think you're the perfect person to play Leo, but we know I'm a big fan, so.
Thank you. I mean, I would agree. I definitely agree.
I love
for
that.
sure.
And Stephanie actually had a question kind of about fans, because at this time, Degrassi's doing really cool stuff at Much Music. They're doing premiere parties, they're hanging out with fans. What was the fan kind of reaction to Leo? Did they treat you any differently?
Oh my God. That was so funny to me because I guess at that time I was like new to social media and I'd never really had anything I needed to promote. So I was active on Twitter at that time. I was definitely like live tweeting or tweeting after the facts and going to see what people were saying. So what was cool with playing that character that starts off so, you know, charming on paper and like, you know, presents as a real love interest for a major character was that I got to see the love for Leo and the hate shortly after when the dark side comes out, which was so cool. Like, who can really say that they got to get the messages of like, oh my God, he's so lovely. We really like him. He's a good actor. Oh, I like his character. Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's handsome. And then they're like, hate him. He's awful. Hate this guy. Get him off the show. He can't act. You know, I got to see both sides of that. And it was banana. I think it was great because I got to experience the love before the hate. So when the hate came, I was like,
That's true. That's true. Because if he had been bad first and then redeemable, I don't think the love might not have been as there. But we are crazy, so I'll apologize on behalf of
that. Fans in general are nuts. Like, absolutely.
They're crazy. Sorry.
But you gotta fight for what you love. You know what I mean? It's like when people tell me the Spice Girls weren't real artists. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're dead to me, and
yes, exactly.
Now.
And we're over.
You know?
and that's how I feel about kind of the villain characters. I love the villain characters because they are what makes Degrassi. Like, we can't have all the kids going to school and having feel-good, happy stories. As we said earlier, we're obsessed when kids get murdered on the show, when they bring a gun to school. Like, we eat that shit up. So we need those villain characters to bring the drama. And then it makes it feel even better when Alli and Dallas do get together. Because, like, look at everything she overcame to get here. So
absolutely.
I'm a fan.
Good.
We have talked a lot about Leo's bad scenes, but we know he's a charmer in some of them. And one of my favorite ones that I want to know about is when he goes to the dance and he charms Jenna and Claire. Please tell me about what it was like to film the dance scene and choreograph that.
I mean, it's more of the same in me being very awkwardly, you know, coordinated. I can tell you honestly, because I found the emails for that as well, where I was asked by, I think it was the production manager or production coordinator, I was asked if I could dance. And I had not seen the script yet, I think. And I was like, ooh, okay. So at that point, I had experience with dance, but I'd never taken classes. I was just like the kid that wanted to choreograph, you know, various things to songs that he liked. And I think that I had a video up on YouTube. You can find it if you want later. And it was a high school video of me and a friend doing like a whole dance routine. And so I was like, okay, this is the only reference I have. I'm not going to like film myself now, you know, doing something. So I sent them that dance video and was like, I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but I can pick up choreography. And like, I think the next like week that had circulated throughout the whole studio of Epitome and everyone had seen it.
Oh my God.
And they were like, this is hilarious. Like, it was, because it's funny. Like, it's a funny video. It's not technically amazing, but it's entertaining. And I think that people were like, yeah, he can dance. He can pick it up.
Oh my
So
gosh.
they had a choreographer. We definitely did rehearsals with Aislinn, with Jessica, with myself. And that choreographer, all I remember was that the first day we did it, he was having a really hard time with me because I was so hard on myself. If you think I'm hard on myself now, think about it 12 years ago, you know? So I was like, if I messed up, I was just beating myself up. And Aislinn was just like a ray of sunshine. Aislinn loves to dance. Aislinn was like, yeah, we could do this again. Like, she was just like ready to go and was so positive. Meanwhile, I'm like down. I'm like this gloomy black cloud, like, you know. But I tried really hard and I practiced really hard. And I think the hardest thing was that the choreographer told me that when I got my steps perfectly, I didn't have the swag. And that when I had the swag, I didn't get the steps. So he was like, I need you to get the steps and be cool about it. And I was like, you can get one of the two and that's it.
Choose your best. I love that.
Yeah, so in the final product, you end up seeing a lot of my like, I wouldn't call them tics, my giveaways when I don't feel cool. Like I would bite my lip and stuff, like, and they're all over that scene of me just like dabbing myself.
Now I'm gonna watch back again with that lens. But I did again. I watched these this morning because I was like, I'm gonna watch all of the scene, just like get back into it. And I was so enthralled with it that I forgot that I was like, oh yeah, he hates his performance in half of these scenes that I'm watching.
No. Okay, now I sound like it's so negative. Oh my goodness. No, and thankfully, you know, it is one of those things where I think maybe I'm extra hard on myself out of fear of the reaction of other people. You know, and I think that the fans were really sweet about it, and they were like, oh, we didn't know that he could do that on Twitter and stuff. So I was like, okay, no one's cringing as much as I thought they would. So yeah, but that was a very important scene, and all of that whole episode was like really important because it makes you think like, oh, they're actually kind of getting it together, right? Like he's charming friends, and you know,
but not really.
Yeah, so that's the gist of that episode.
I love that scene. Another scene that I love, actually, I would say it's probably my favorite scene in season 13. I love a good silly scene with Henri. Is that how you say it? Henri?
Oh my God, he's so funny.
The best. What was it like to film that scene and work with him?
Oh my goodness. So that actor's name is Nico Rassico. And I believe he's also from Montreal, but we'd never met before. And we knew a lot of the same people. He is fully French, like Francophone as well. Like, he's a fantastic actor. He was a little bit older than me. And he came on that set for that one episode, like 1 or 2 scenes at most. And he commanded the set. Like, he was so comfortable with himself. And I was so envious because I think I'd shot for a couple weeks at that point. And I was like, man, I'm still so, you know, self-conscious about everything I do here. And he just came in that one day and just like showed me how it's done. And he was so wonderful and so funny and playful and open to improv and open to feedback and open to play. And he was just fantastic. Like it took many takes purely because everybody was laughing so much.
What's in them?
Just ham and cheese.
My friend is modest. Leo created this dish. You must try it.
Oh, I love that. That is easily my favorite scene from season 13. I think Jessica Tyler also has such a funny comedic timing to her.
So underrated as a as a
100%.
comedic actor. Oh my gosh, her facial reactions to when he puts the quiche in her mouth, I was dead.
Incredible.
There's a few takes where you can see my head move. I think I don't know if they ended up in the blooper reel or if they were in the final product, but it was Jessica for me. I was dying.
I love her. I know when people ask me, like, who do you think is the funniest character? They think I'm going to say, like, JT or something. But JT is trying to be funny. Jenna is in these situations she does not want to be in, and she does not find them funny. And Jessica brings it every time in those scenes. Like, there's one scene in season 10 where her character has anal leakage on top of a cheerleading pyramid. Of course she does. Of course she does. Not intended to be funny to Jenna, but as the audience, I'm like, Jessica's the funniest person ever.
There were a few of those. I noticed Aislinn is also very funny in ways that I did not expect. But yeah, Jessica's absolutely hilarious. I don't know where she's at now, but I would kill to see her do comedy. She's so
love her. She's like a mom of like 3 now or something. Like,
oh heck yeah,
yeah, she's a mom. Also, speaking of Degrassi cast members, have you met anyone from any other generations?
Yeah, I got to do. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Lauren Collins, icon.
Love Lauren.
Age. I got to meet her because she works so often with like a casting director as a reader for auditions. So like, I mean, I did an audition yesterday. She was my reader. And I was just like, and it sucks when you do them because like I'm always so happy to see her and I want to like be like, how are you and how is everything? Oh my gosh, I was also at her wedding because I was a waiter at her wedding.
You were a waiter at Lauren Collins' wedding? Oh my god, that is the coolest
and it was a nightmare because the team was so behind. It was probably the worst wedding that I'd ever worked, and Lauren was such a gem about it. Like opposite of Bridezilla, just the kindest person. But yeah, Lauren Collins is probably one of my favorites for sure. I don't know her very well, but every time I see her, she's just incredibly kind and
well, you get to say you're at her wedding, so that's pretty cool to
me. Yeah,
that is sick.
I went for coffee with her once. I think I told you this in the last interview, but I went for coffee with her once at a Starbucks, and a fan walked up to us, well, to her, and was like, definitely not us, and was like, I just want to say I'm really sorry, but you know, you and everything you did has meant so much to me, and like, thank you for everything you did for us as kids. And I was like, wow, I hope she doesn't know who I am. Like, you know, because
I'm gonna deck you.
In a way, I guess it's like, thank you for teaching me who not to love. But like, I guess with Lauren, it was like this really lovely, pure moment that I witnessed, and she was very grateful.
Oh, I love Lauren Collins. She's still my whale. I'm gonna someday, the day I get Lauren Collins, it's gonna be my grand finale because I'm like, oh, I'm
gonna manifest. I'm very confident that you will. And she was one of the several Degrassi cast to generously contribute to my trivia night.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about that. I have a few more questions and then we're going to get there.
For sure.
One is from Degrassi CSI. Now, we kind of talked about your final scene that's the one with you're sitting on the steps, Dallas comes to your house, and then Mindy says her iconic, you might have beaten me, but you never broke me.
Yes.
What was it like for you? You know, it's your final scene. It's you know that it's your last time on Degrassi. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. I wish I could remember the feeling of like, this is my last one.
And
because I don't. I think that it was maybe just too overwhelming. I think it's probably too hard to think like, oh man, like, you know, if this scene is bad, then I'll always end on a bad note. Or, you know, I guess there's just the pressure of making sure that for yourself, it's meaningful. And that for the fans, it closes and bookends that storyline properly. You know, so, and I think they did a really nice job because they really focus on empowering Mindy in that moment, in showing how much Dallas is there for her and cares, and like how he would never do any of the things that Leo did.
I couldn't believe how lucky I was. I found love in the most romantic city on earth, but it wasn't meant to be. But whatever happened, nothing gave you the right to hit me. No excuse, no justification for the violence you put me through. You have a problem. And if you don't face it, you'll end up in a lot worse trouble and other girls will get hurt. You beat me. But you didn't break me.
And then you also get that kind of final moment with Leo's like shame and guilt right before like we never see him again. So I thought they handled that really well. But I don't really remember it much other than being like, this is my only scene where I guess like I'm being schooled and told what's up. So I think it was just a lot of listening.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of talking in that scene, I think. I think I do barely any talking. So it was just a lot of listening, a lot of reacting. And it was really cool because once it was over, the entire crew was so kind and clapped, and I don't think it was anything like you did an amazing job in the scene. It was like, you were here. We worked with you for many days. You did 12 episodes. You did stuff that was difficult, and now you're gone. You did a great job. And the vibe was just so warm and kind, and everyone was just like so supportive, and it meant a lot. So
I love that. I do think that moment is so special, but that is the moment that I spilled water all over Melinda. So every time I watch that scene, especially if I watch it with people, I go, do you want to hear a fun story about the time I met her? That is.
But you'll forever have an opportunity to tell that story now.
Exactly.
It's a great story.
Oh, well,
it's a great story.
And it's such a big moment on the show too. Now, I know you did so much research. You got us your breakdown of your audition. Did you find anything like your final call sheets or any call sheets that you can give us info about?
Yeah, I mean, I did get my last call sheet, and I saw like that I would. I mean, I don't know how interesting all of this is, but I was like, I was number 63 on the call.
What does that mean?
We all have a number, a cast number. Just because you see the scenes you're doing in a day, and you see which numbers are in that scene, so and so that was my ID number, my character number. And that was my last day. And if I'm correct, I just want to see, I think I took note of it because I wanted to see what my last day on set was.
Yeah, I want to know.
But yeah, so my first day and my first scene was on May 1st of 2013.
Okay.
And my last day was July 18th of 2013. So I was not there that long, if you think about it.
Wow, yeah. You did all that in like 2.5 months?
I think honestly 2 months, probably less than 2 months, because I wasn't there the entire time. I'm not in every episode and in every scene, but yeah, so it was a very short time.
Wow. What was it like for you to go through your emails and find all this stuff again?
It was weird because like I guess like I had forgotten so much about it, but it was I don't know, it's just nice. I think that's what's so cool about having that available. I didn't delete any of that stuff. I didn't want to. So it's great. It was great. It was very fun.
I love that. Did you keep any tangible items from your time on Degrassi?
No, I wish I had. Like, no, there's nothing. I don't think I did.
Not even like a Dot coffee cup or anything?
No, I don't even think. No, I don't think they gave me anything like that. I just didn't have the opportunity. If I could have kept one, I would have loved to. But yeah.
The main thing that I want to do too, before we get into our trivia, is kind of ask, you were a part of an iconic TV show. You were on Degrassi, and you played a part that is like, every time we talk about Alli, we talk about Leo, we talk about this big thing. How did it feel to be a part of an iconic Canadian TV show like Degrassi?
I think you can't really put it into words, because I think it especially because I got into acting in my like late teen years and early adult years. So it wasn't something that was already normal to me at that time. Like a lot of them probably had grown up on this, so it was normal. For me, it was still very much surreal. So especially people recognizing me in the street or anything like that around that time, which happened a lot, that was very weird. But I think to this day, it's one of those things that I feel very proud of. And it's just also funny because you get to say that you were a character that is completely and utterly different from yourself and was so notoriously hated. I think there's something hilarious about that and so iconic. So I just think of it with pride. That's it. Pride and gratitude.
That. When you think about Leo's future, do you think he got help and changed?
I think, honestly, I think he definitely probably got some help. Changed is a really hard one with something as serious as, emotional and physical abuse. I don't actually know how much change can actually occur. But I think that because of that last scene and the words that they said, and the fact that it got to the point of him getting arrested and deported, those are real consequences that I want to imagine that character could not ignore. So if he were real and if he were smart, he would get himself into a serious program of intense therapy and deal with his unresolved trauma. But my theory is he's still like stalking Alli on Instagram.
Oh, 100%. He's using the Insta profile viewer to check her out. 100%.
For sure.
A lot of the people who watched Degrassi when this was coming out, I mean, I think I was like 14, 15, 16 years old at the time that this was airing.
Oh, wow.
I know, I was a young little baby. Actually, maybe at that point, I was graduating high school, so at that point, it's probably 18. But still, I was relatively young. And what do you hope that the kids who are watching Leo at that time, what do you hope they took away from his character?
It's a really good question, because I've kind of heard some horror stories about people, I got messages at that time that were pretty disturbing of people being like, if it were me, I could have changed him, or, things like that. And I kind of saw those as very, very scary signs of a person's concerning self-worth.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that is absolutely not a person that you would want to be with and surround yourself with. That person has so many issues they need to tend to before they can even think about being a decent partner to another person. So I guess to anybody that would watch Degrassi for the first time, especially younger people who are seeing storylines like this for the first time, I would think, note that a character can be incredibly a person can be charming, can say all the right things, seem to really get you, and it's still not enough if they're doing any of the things that Leo did.
100%.
The emotional abuse, telling her that, her university of choice that she dreamt of forever needs to come second to him. Any of these things, it does not matter how much you love this person or how much you think this person loves you. It is not it.
No.
And you deserve so much better. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm the expert on this, but I do hope that we got that message across loud and clear.
Yeah.
I pray that we did.
Well, I know you may not be the expert, but I think that the amount of care that you put into making sure that Leo was done right, and that you realistically got through those moments of here's when he's charming and here's when he's going from 0 to 100, I think that does make a lasting impact, and people can see those warning signs. And I think you did a great job, Alex. I know you might not think so, but I think you did wonderful.
I do. Oh gosh, I do. I'm very proud of it. I think I just, watched every scene. There's a lot of actors that don't watch themselves, and I watched it and I took it seriously, so I was being hard on myself, but I loved it, and I'm very grateful to hear that you felt that way about it, so thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And after Degrassi, you did not stop acting. You appeared in fan favorite shows and video games. You appeared in Letterkenny, Handmaid's Tale, Far Cry 3. The question from Casey is there a project besides Degrassi that you're proud of and would love for for fans to see?
I mean, I'm proud of a lot of stuff, but I definitely think that, I think probably, I guess, the coolest show that I got to be a part of, even if it was like the smallest part ever, was The Handmaid's Tale. I definitely would encourage anybody to watch that, just because it is a brilliant show. And to forget that I'm on it, so that when you see me for those 42 seconds or whatever, however long, that it's a pleasant surprise. And but I mean, that was a really cool show to be a part of, even if it was a very small role.
Yeah.
And then I would recommend, I guess, anyone, because I think it is a thing to go out and seek projects when you're a real true Degrassi fan, to seek out projects that they might have done after the show. So if you wanted to do that and you wanted to see some that you hadn't seen before, I was in one with Justin Kelly and Jamil French, obviously rest in peace, the iconic, legendary Jamil French, called The Night Before Halloween. That was like a horror movie for sci-fi that we did a few years ago, probably many years ago. That one was fun. And then I did a Christmas horror movie with Miriam McDonald called Letters to Satan Claus that I think is a lot of fun. That is not to take seriously, but to have a good time with your friends around Christmas time. So definitely I would recommend watching that one.
Oh, I love that. Fans love doing this so much that I have a Discord server, and one of the things that kept getting requested is not only that we watch Degrassi, but we watch movies with Degrassi actors. So
yes,
we alternate between Mondays and Wednesdays, but every single week we watch something that has a Degrassi actor in it. So now I know it's going to be on our Halloween lineup, but I know it's going to be on our Christmas lineup. We got to watch a movie with you in it.
And I know you did your 420 with Marijuana Conspiracy.
Yes! Oh my God, it was
Luke
so
Billick
fun.
is in that.
Luke Billick's in it. Jordy Todd is in that as well. There was a full stack. But yeah, basically me and a bunch of Degrassi fans, we got Degrassi High together. That's what we call it to avoid the censors. And we watched a movie with you and a bunch of Degrassi actors about smoking weed. It was sick.
Degrassi High.
That's how we get around it. And I also wanted to make a special shout out to Christopher, because Christopher, he didn't have a question, but he specifically wanted to let you know that one of his favorite movies is Letters to Satan Claus with you. So he wanted to leave that comment too.
I'm so happy to hear that.
We
That's such a
We love
fun.
Christopher.
It's such a fun movie, and it's fun for you if you only know me from Degrassi to watch it and see me play like the gayest of gay characters. It's just it must be.
So funny is that I remember when I was lurking you one time, I seen that clip and I went, wow, he plays gay so well. And then later I was like, oh, wait. Oh, I got this so wrong. That is how I learned that you were gay, was through that. Because I was like, he's doing such a good job. Like, good for a straight man to play a gay character. And then I was like, oh, Jocelyn, you've misread this whole thing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
I love that. Well, now we're going to get into the part that I'm most excited for. This is going to be a piece of bonus content on my trivia where I'm going to ask you a little bit about what the trivia night was like, but then you're also going to quiz me and see if I can really live up to the title of being one of Degrassi's biggest fans. How do you feel about that?
I'm super down. Let's do it.
Perfect. In the podcast, this is going to cut, but if you want to watch the rest of what we're filming, go to patreon.com/DegrassiKid. But for now, Alex, we did it, and I would say this interview was far more superb than our other one. You came with so many receipts. I learned so many new fun facts, and you absolutely got me on trivia, which I love. Thank you for doing that for me.
Oh my God, my pleasure. Thank you.
So much fun. Did you end up finishing your drink?
I didn't. It's here, but I mean, this is my second refill, so I think I'm fine.
Well, I just finished mine there. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so glad we got this under our belt. And I just am so grateful for you. Thank you for being so patient.
Oh my goodness. Me too. Thank you. It was really, really fun. And I hope that you feel many, 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 many more moments like this with all the cast members. Lauren Collins.
Oh, I hope so. We're going to manifest it. Awesome. Okay. Bye, Alex. Thank you so much.
Bye, Boo. Have a good one.
Thank you so much to Alex for coming on the Degrassi Kid podcast. If you want to watch our trivia video together, you can head on to patreon.com/DegrassiKid, where it's exclusively available as bonus content. But for now, we have to say a thank you to our Patreon subscribers who made this episode possible. First, we're going to welcome our brand new members. Those are Halls, Lauren, Kim K, Olivia, Anastasia, Lena, Angie, Paige, Tom, Scott, Lauren, KM, Kylie, Judith, the Leap Year Babe, Caden, Timmy, Shay, Lex, Sue, Anissa, Megan, Amber, and Sean. Thank you so much for joining the Degrassi Kid Patreon. It means so much to me. But of course, we also have to say a huge thank you to our long-term Patreon subscribers. And those are Jolene, Amber, Angelica, Christopher, Degrassi CSI, Emily, Catherine, Laura, Mundo Man 333, Nikki, Rachel, Sarah, Sarah J, Shannon, Tay, Max, Adam, Angie, Anna, B, Becca, Blue, Blue Estrella, Bridget, Brittany, Callie, Katrina, Christine, Cian, Cosmo, Daniela, Darcy, Dave, Gina, Joey, Casey, Kristen, Legna, Lizzie, Megan, Mina, Nadia, Natalie, Sam, Stephanie, Tawny, Alyssa, Brittany, Caitlin, Kennedy, Lindsay, Randy, Ashley, Aubrey, Chrissy, David, Emily, Glenn, Jamie, Jeanette, Kate, Lizzie Games, Lulu, Melissa, MMB, Mix, Lucy, Samantha, Sarah, Shane, Sanita, Terry, Tierney, and Amber. Thank you so much for all being members of the Degrassi Kid Patreon. I literally couldn't make this without you. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next week for even more Degrassi Kid Podcast. Bye!